Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Races Driving League for Season 19, Round 4 of the Championship. Welcome to the Bahrain International Circuit for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Our first 100% Grand Prix of this campaign. I'm so excited to get this one underway. 57 laps coming your way around the LiDAR-scanned Bahrain International Circuit. Should be a very exciting affair indeed. And our first few cars coming out for a short qualifying run. So the old 18-minute format returns for these races. And we are in once again for what should hopefully be another exciting qualifying session, because of course the first three have been fantastic. 2 poles for Che and 1 pole for Imri so far this season. Both cars are on the grid in tonight's race. This should be an exciting affair around this circuit. Of course, I'm your host Zach RC, and of course make sure to get subscribed for more future RDL content as the series continues on. As I just get myself set up on my other screen. Bear with me. There we go. All set again. So, the Ericsson reserving for Ferrari tonight, the first car out on the track, reserving in place of EJ, of course, scored a point in last week's race, took home P10 in Japan. So, looking for Ferrari to get themselves some more points on the board. They've got 5 so far this season. Of course, 4 of those coming from Curtis, who was also on tonight's grid. We're just missing 1 as of right now, I believe. That will be Alvar. I think we should be seeing later on. And hopefully we're joining us in due course, and we'll get him out onto the circuit. I'll double check, make sure it's not on my screen here. No, it's not. Okay, so as of right now, only a few cars on the circuit here. Only the first few joining Ericsson. Imri first out. Oh, around goes Imri. And that is perhaps not a positive start for last week's pole sitter, as he emerges out of the pit lane and going through the first corner there. And not at all what I'd advise from Imri on the start. We'll keep focusing on Ericsson, who's coming through to start his first flying lap as he makes his way into the last couple of corners here through turns 14 and 15. Of course, 5.4 kilometers in length, the Bahrain International Circuit, 15 corners and 3 DRS zones, so good chances of overtaking it. So down the main straight then, and going towards turn 1, DRS in play, hitting 200 miles an hour on the run towards that first corner. Breaking point around to the 100-meter board there, going into turn 1, getting the car slowed down right the way down to 40 miles an hour there, and out of turn 1, bit of a twitch there on corner exit, but through turns 2 and 3, keeping the car under control. DRS in play for the second time on the run down towards turn 4. Of course, the sector ends going towards turn number 5 on the circuit as Ericsson runs himself into the right hander there, keeping things nice and smooth, no real stress, and making his way now towards the end of the first sector. 29.1 is the first intermediate time for Ericsson. So down the hill now, going through towards turn number 8 on the circuit, and of course that DRS zone will be waiting for him on exit of turn 10, which will be coming up in just a matter of moments here. Up the crest and down towards one of the tougher corners on the circuit, the very tight left-hander of turns, the combination of turns 9 and 10 working very nicely there. DRS is in play for the 3rd time in the lap and going down towards turn number 11 here, so plenty of chances to overtake on this circuit as he goes into the left-hander now of 11. Running on board there with Ericsson as he makes his way through the corner and almost off circuit completely there. Going through towards the right-hander at turn 12. Of course, used to be a pressure point for a majority of drivers. 1 minute 7.7 his second sector, but the pressure point there being the curb on the inside at turn 12. Very easy to spin out should you go into that too much. I'm not sure if that's still a thing on the LiDAR scan circuit, but I have to wait and see if anyone falls afoul of that tonight. But into the last corners now through turns 14 and 15 to complete the first flying lap here of short qualifying. And Ericsson crosses the line. It's a 1:29.9 to start off. And the next car through will be Obsessed Gamer. That will be in terms of car on a flying lap. In terms of who we'll have next on the board, I believe that will be Imri, if I'm not mistaken. As the other Aston Martin of PJ is on that lap, as is HB Cook, as is Curtis. So Imri the next car through. Of course, as I say, last week's pole sitter spun there on exit to the pit lane. Perhaps not the ideal thing to be doing this early on in the qualifying session, but of course getting his tyres up to temperature there and looking for a second pole from 4 races here. 4th place in the World Championship at 42 points off of Championship leader Salvo Grumio, who himself has won the first 3 races of the campaign, but hasn't taken pole yet, so I have to keep an eye on him in qualifying. He's come close. It's been fantastic against the qualifying sessions as Imri goes fast. It's 1:27.3 on the board for the Red Bull driver. Che immediately tops that, 1:27.3, and Brashman reserving in the Alpine tonight. He takes over a spot there in 3rd place, so in front of Ericsson. And Dan there going faster still, so right now the train between Imri against those 2 Haas cars. And where is Grumio? Grumio's still in the pit lane, so yet to emerge for his first lap as Alvar joins the session now. So we're up to 19 cars in this race. And in terms of the one team that's missing a driver, I believe we're looking at Matthew in the Red Bull. So Imri, the lone scorer for the Bulls this evening. Second, third place for them in the Constructors' Championship. Matthew scored 12 points this season. Imri scored 33, which puts those guys squarely on 45. It's 81 points in second place for Williams, the combination of Grumio and JB. Of course, JB 6 points now to his name this season. But of course, Haas leading by 15 points there. The driver's second and third place in the Constructors. And make their way down towards, turn number 13 there. So Imri then has pace, but still behind those two Haas cars only just here. It's very tight between the pair of them, or between the three of them, sorry. Looking at about a 1/10.5 overall. Just adjust my mic, make sure things are working okay. So Imri then into the pits, end of his first run. P3 on the board, Brashman joining him as well. And I assume that's Che coming in as well. Yes, it is. Che is in, and here comes Dan now letting one of the Saubers go. That will be Obsessed Gamer for the last corner. Obsessed up towards the line. P7 for him on the start. So in front of his teammate, 128.9 for the Sauber driver. Of course, Obsessed there met with a bit of unfortunate news over the course of the time between the last Grand Prix and this one. If I will check the my notes. This being Obsessed, this being unfortunately being his final race as a full-time driver, thanks to commitments outside of racing. So unfortunately, this will be the last we see of Obsessed for a little while. I believe may still stick around as a special reserve should need be. But of course, unfortunate to see Obsessed go. The development we've seen from him over the course of almost exactly 2 seasons now has been nothing short of fantastic. Of course, like I say, shame to see him go, but hopefully one day we'll see him back again soon. And in terms of his replacement, not entirely sure there. And another change there is that we've also seen a departure from the driver who scored just 12 points in his first 3 RDR races. Ozzy has departed the league, and in his place is the returning Season 11 Drivers' Champion, Touch Me Pope, who finds his way back to the grid once again with Mercedes. So we'll see what Pope's got up his sleeve tonight in his first race where he can score full points alongside Cottony Goblin as his teammate. So we'll see what those two have up their sleeve together. Mercedes P6 in the Constructors with 12 points to their name. The 12 points being scored by Aussie. Of course, they'll keep those 12 points, but Aussie's name will be wiped from the full-time championship and put into the into the retired drivers category. But in terms of Obsessed Gamers replacement, in terms of who that'll be, no word as of yet. Of course, that'll be confirmed for us hopefully next week in the race, which will be round 5, taking place at, as I forget what round 5 is. I have to double check the calendar. The fact that I actually need to check this is Saudi Arabia. There we go. That's it. Memory comes back. Saudi Arabia is next week's race in Jeddah. Should be very exciting. Of course, a chaotic Grand Prix at times, to say the least. But we'll see how everyone fares next week. Grumio and Cott both crossed the line here. Grumio into 5th place, 128.8, so almost a second off of the top time. So I assume so must have fallen afoul on that first lap. Cott there in P4 again. He was in the fight of pole position last week. Was also in contention for a decent finish. Of course, things fell apart for him over the course of the race in Japan. But in today's race, Hat's looking for redemption on that front. 14 points from so far this season. He is 6th place in the Drivers' Championship, 2 in front of Aussie and Matthew, and 8 behind Landlord. Landlord himself currently sitting yet to set a lap time. Pope up to P5 on his first lap, so in front of Grumio there, only just by less than a 10th or so. And I'm unsure if we're seeing any difficulties on the stream thus far. So Pope into P5 then, and the session's flown past here. We've got just under 8 minutes to go. And the majority of cars set lap times, save for Landlord and Cottony. Neither of them have left the pits. But there is Landlord though, making his exit from his garage and back onto the racetrack for his first flying lap here. See Chase sliding going through turn 10. So So Dan fastest from Che. It's Imri third, Cot fourth, and Pope rounds it on top 5. Grimio P6, Brashman P7th, P7, AT P8, Ethan P9, and PJ on top 10. So the 2 Aston Martins both in the top half today. Obsessed Gamer P11, and it's Curtis P12, Ben in P13, HP Cook 14th, JB in 15th, Ericsson 16th, and it's Landlord and Cottony Goblin running at your order. And I don't believe that Alva's actually left his garage yet, so I think that'll be why it's not appearing on the board here for us. Down towards turn 1 then for Dan, looking for another run to try and solidify his place on pole. As Imri goes faster, so Dan's got some work to do now. He's got a time to try and chase. Imri now on top, 127.2, 212. Oh, as he slides the car again there at turn 1. Turn 1 looking like a bit of a problem point for Imri so far. Of course, again, we're not entirely sure what the issue was with the spin on pit exit. And bear with me, I'm just going to try and sort something here as Imri goes crashing through the bollard there. I'm going to try and make the stream a bit less choppy if I can. CPU's running awfully high compared to usual. That might help to do it, I have to see. Frame rate drop for a second. So Imri faster then, and Dan is up, improving by a little bit there, improving by about half a tenth or so at the conclusion to that second sector. But of course, he's still got a few corners to come here, and we'll see what he's got lined up. Cot retiring here, so Cot retiring from P4 as Dan pulls into the pits. End of his second run, rather. Imri waits to end his second run too. Only a few cars on the circuit here. HP Cook for the last few corners. Ericsson there, P15, JB, P16. Cottony Goblin on the circuit now. And Landlord. Let's see what sort of time he can put in. So coming up then through the second sector, one at 5.7. Into the last couple of corners here. Landlord coming through, and we'll see what his first time looks like as he comes towards the line. 4.5 minutes left to go in this session, and Landlord goes up to 4th there, so fantastic first lap from the 3-time series champion. JB in P12 there, so improving his spot to HP Cook P13, now just in front of his teammate by about a tenth and a half. And Cottony Goblin invalidating his outlap, but coming out now to start what should be his first full run. Cottony the Goblin there starts what will likely be his first of whether he can get a second run in, I doubt. But we'll see what his first time looks like. Of course, Alvar, the only other car yet set a lap, but he's coming out now. Onto the racetrack goes the RB driver. Of course, RB still dead last, 0-point score in this championship after the first 3 rounds. The only team yet to put a point on the board, Aston Martin and P9 with 2, Ferrari with 5, Sauber with 9. So that's your bottom 4 in the constructors. Of course, 96 points for Haas so far. Of course, those two sitting in P2 and P3 in the standings, separated only by 6 points themselves. So 51 points for Dan and 45 for Che, but still 75 for Grimio from winning those first 3 rounds. As we near the last part of qualifying here, we're looking towards final runs. There's just under 3 minutes left. There'll be time for things to change. I think Dan is restarting his game. Whether he's been bugging a bit, not entirely sure there. So landlord there, P4, as we enter the last few minutes. The final 2 minutes now of this qualifying session, and we'll look and see who will take pole ahead of the first full-length Grand Prix of the season. Imri the favourite, as it stands, but of course only just a little bit further in front of Dan and Che. Landlord there in P4, Grumio could come up with another lap here, starting a fresh lap this time round, going down towards turn 4. See how much he improves by this time going through the right hand. Of course, we'll get a good glimpse into his first sector here. As he rides through, it's an improvement by almost 4 tenths. And as it stands, he is 9 tenths behind. So he's almost got half of what he needs. He locks up going into turn number 8. Into turn 10. And down towards 11 now. We'll see what the second split looks like. It's going to be an exciting one here to see who will take pole late on in qualifying. As we enter the final minute now, and almost everyone on the circuit. The only 2 cars that aren't are Dan and Brashman. Of course, Cott's retired, so only 16 cars on the circuit right now. 40 more seconds here into the last couple of corners. And towards the line, Grumio will go 4th fastest there. And that will likely be as high as it gets for the reigning champion, who may go a 4th Grand Prix without a pole. Well, that's a rare streak for Grumio. But Che, though, is coming through the end of the first sector now. He's improving by 2 tenths. And that'll be more than enough as it stands right now. Imri himself will see what he's got up his sleeve. I'm not sure if he's on a lap now. Up by 300ths. It's going to be a close one. Checker flag has now fallen. Dan P2, Brashman P8, Ethan now P10 as one of the Ferraris comes towards the line. That will be Curtis pitting, P15 for Curtis. Ben is the next car through. Just 2 corners to go. P16 from right now, 129.079. And towards the line here to complete his lap. Ben up to P14. Grumio retires as a P4 best and Obsessed Gamer Invalid to a P15 for him. Here comes Pope through, P7 now for his full-time return. And it is P5 for him. Cottony doesn't improve, unfortunately. Here comes Che towards the line, up by almost 3 tenths. Che goes fastest. Imri, has he got anything left in the tank here? Can he stop Che from going 3 and 4? 126.9 for Che. Imri towards the line. 127.1 for Imri. Improves it, but not enough. And Che will take pole then for the 4th race of the season as the last few cars come through to the line here. AT to P8. JB looking to improve up almost 3 tenths himself. Might get himself inside that top 10 if he's lucky. HB Cook goes P12 in front of JB there. And JB the last car to come to the line to cap off this qualifying session. But Che on pole then, he'll lead Imri for the race to the first corner. And that will do it then for qualifying. We're going to take a short break here. And we'll be back with you shortly when the Grand Prix is about to get underway. But what a qualifying session it was. Che on pole, and he'll lead Imri and the entire pack to the first corner. So about to get underway then, about a minute away from the formation lap here for the start of round 4 of the Races Driving League Season 19, the Bahrain Grand Prix, our first full-length race of the season. We'll have a look here at the circuit itself. 15 corners making up the Bahrain International Circuit. 29 laps last season, of course, half length for the opening round of Season 18. Che won that Grand Prix in a 1-2 with Sniper Hunter to memory, as Dan was not in the race that day, not as far as I can remember, but of course those two now in the Haas and looking for Haas's first victory of Season 19 is Che on pole for the third time in 4 races here and looking for win number 1 and the first non-Grumio victory of the season here. So there's your circuit, as I say, under the lights for the full 57 lap race here, and it should be a very exciting encounter indeed. Of course, we'll go through the starting grid in a matter of moments too, and the formation that gets underway. And of course, there's always that uncertainty of the first full-length Grand Prix of a campaign. We'll see exactly what these guys have up their sleeve over the course of this race and whether they'll be able to keep themselves away from harm for the entirety of the race. We'll have to wait and see who's got the speed and who has got the gumption to keep themselves in front for the duration here. So here we go then, a few moments away now from getting that formation lap underway and getting everyone set up for what should be a very, very exciting Grand Prix under the lights here in Bahrain. Of course, as always, I will say, if you are new around here, then obviously welcome to the RDL and make sure to get yourself subscribed for more future RDL content. Of course, every race hopefully being broadcast live on this channel, so make sure to get following, and we should be in for what should be an exciting season overall. But of course, Grumio has run away with the advantage so far, 75 points from 3 races, so 3 race victories from 3. But Haas in the Constructors lead by 15 points to Williams. Of course, JB down there in 11th place, 6 points to his name this season, tied with Websy. Websy not on the grid tonight, of course, being replaced by... Sorry, I've lost my touch for a second. I'll reconfirm when we're back on the grid. I'm losing my memory in these moments before the formation actually gets underway. But of course, unfortunately, the news breaking out last week that this would be Obsessed Gamer's final race as a full-time driver. Just shy of 2 complete seasons. I believe he joined us in round 5 of season 17. So of course, he'll be sorely missed by everyone in the RDL paddock. And we're just waiting now to get that formation up underway and get his last start for Sauber up and running. Here we go then. So time for the formation up to get underway, and we'll go through your 19 car grid for tonight's Grand Prix. No Matthew, the one car we're missing, so Imrie, the lone Red Bull on the starting grid. So P19 then for Alvar as RB hunt their first point of the season. It's P18 for Courtney Goblin. He joins Ericsson together on row number 9. Those two starting on medium tyres, Alvar on the softs. Curtis in P16 there, medium tyres for him as well. Obsessed Gamer in his last start, going for the soft tyre for that first stint. Ben in P14, medium tyres for, of course, RB, as I say, yet to score a point this season. 13th for HP Cook, have a new teammate next week in at that Sauber. JB in P12, of course, looking to add some more points to Williams' championship tally in the Constructors. PJ lines up P11, Ethan in P10. Those two looking for points for Aston Martin. Just 2 points so far, courtesy of Ethan. So PJ hunting his first points of season 19. Brashman in the reserve place of Websy in P9 for Alpine there. AT in P8 for McLaren. Cott in P7, of course, close to pole last week and was in contention for the win last week until things fell apart with the course of his race. P7 for him, soft tyre start. Landlord P6, again, soft tyres for McLaren as well. In P5, it's Touchby Pope making his full-time return here after the departure of Aussie after just 3 Grand Prix in this season. So Pope back in that full-time seat. Grumio in 4th place, of course, looking for win number 4 from 4. But perhaps this could be his toughest challenge. But he's won every single full-length Grand Prix so far in RDL in terms of it being an official event. Dan in P3, soft tyres for Dan. The only car in the top 5 to start on that Red Bull tyre. But reporting lag here on the formation lap. So it could be a concern for the first stint. Keep an eye on him in the opening phase of the race. Imrie P2 and Che with 3 poles from 4. Your lone pole sitters from this season. Che and Imrie line up together on the front row for the race towards the first corner. You see Dan jumping around in the background there, and we're hoping that it shouldn't impact the start too much. So as they take their places now on the starting grid, you can see Courtney Goblin coming through the last few corners here. Alvar's in P19, but Courtney's fallen back here, trying to get his tyres warmed up. And just waiting now on the race start. So Che has got Imrie to contend with. Imrie's pointing way over at the left-hand side of the track there, looking to try and get a better start and cover Che off. As Dan is restarting his PC, so may not be present in terms of his... Could be under AI for the start. But the last few cars taking their spots now and set to get this Grand Prix underway. So here we go then, the first full-length race of the season. The lights are on here in Bahrain, 5 laps ahead of the drivers. Lights out to the floor, go, go, go. We're racing here in the desert. Dan's car pulls over, going towards turn 1. Che, a fantastic start there over Imri. Grumio into 3rd place then, and Che leads nice and comfortable there at the first corner. Pope goes blasting around the outside, trying to take P3 from Grumio there, close to contact. Brashman, 3-second time penalty already there. As he invalidated in all 3 corners, so the Alpines go 3 wide with Landlord on the run towards that first turn. As Landlord tries the inside of Pope going into turn 4, locks up a little bit there, close to contact, but keeps the car under control. So Brashman with the penalty, Dan down the order, and Ericsson in P19 stuck behind these guys. Ericsson now trying to challenge Dan going into turn number 7, but it's Imri who leads away with Che. Sorry, Imri's taking the lead here from Che. So Imri's up into 1st place now. So fantastic start from Imri there. Che, of course, got the edge of him off the start, but Imri must have gone for a send there, and he now leads the way once again, as he did last week in Japan. Leads the early going in this Grand Prix. Chase up to 2nd, Grumio still 3rd, Landlord 4th, and Pope rounds at your top 5. So place up for Landlord then, as they go through turn number 11 for the first time. See AT trying to challenge Brashman there, going towards turn 12. Now up the hill they go once again. AT there looking for an opportunity, couldn't quite do it. Going towards turn 11, JB behind these guys in the points playing places now. PJ and P10, of course, looking for his first point of season number 19. And going out the last few corners here, it will be Imri who leads the first lap of this thing in complete control. As I say, Che got the better start by a long shot there, but Imri got the job done in the early phases and now leads the way here, going towards turn 1 once again. You see a Ferrari pulling into the pit lane here. Curtis into the pits for the first time, looking for a perhaps might got damage on that first lap somewhere. As there goes Landlord making the pass on Grumio there. So the two former teammates rather, still rivals to this day, continuing on their little scrap. And Landlord into 3rd place now. It's onto the podium for the first time tonight on lap number 2. Grumio now under pressure from Pope and from Cott. Obsessed Gamer gets hit with a 3-second time penalty too. So that's 2 cars then in the space of a lap and a half here to be hit with penalties early on. Imri in control then. Che trying to close the gap a little bit, so they go towards turn 9 and 10 here. Of course, DRS will be enabled on this lap. You saw it a bit going down towards turn 4. Get a second dose of it here as Che opens the ring up, tries to close some time on the race leader. And you see Grumio trying to get back at Landlord, but Landlord pulling away here, more focused on the 2 cars in front of him rather than the chasing back behind. Any challenges? Everyone needs to go single file as it stands right now. Of course, Ericsson and Curtis now back in the order for Ferraris. Not a fantastic start for them in this Grand Prix. Dan up to P16 here after, of course, falling back going off onto the grass. So starts AI moving out of the way, I believe. So Dan, whether it says AI, whether he's back in the race now, I believe he's back in the Grand Prix. We'll get an idea in terms of pace in a few moments here, as the 2 RBs challenge each other. P14 on the line for those 2 cars. But up front again, down the main straight, Che closing in 3 to 3.5 tenths in a half second back from Imri as we begin lap 3 of this thing. But Che in pursuit, DRS in play, Landlord fastens up. Those soft tyres doing wonders for him right now. As there goes Cott making his challenge on Pope going towards that first corner, in towards turn 1. Cott gets in front, clears Pope for the first right hand here. Locks up a little bit going into turn number 1. Keeps the car under control and going towards turn 4 now. DRS is focused on chasing Grumio in front of him as Che closer and closer to Imri there. So going through the second sector now, as Dan now rejoins P16 for him, and a lot of work to do, plenty of time to get that work done. So hopefully he won't be too concerned in terms of pace in this thing. So work to be done for Dan then, and Che working to try and get right back on his teammate. So into the last sector, Imri in control. And a bit of breakaway here. The top 7 or 8 sort of pulling away here. JB there in P9, the rest of the train behind him. Obsessed Gamer on the tail of PJ here. Of course, that's like 3 seconds to think about. So I have to keep an eye on him over the course of the race and see exactly what he's got to be doing. And perhaps might try and go for a pass here, potentially to get good enough exit out to turns 14 and 15 here. It's up front. It's still Imri. Che getting closer. We're not trying to challenge us yet, but Obsessed may make the rare move go down towards that first corner here, towards turn 1 lap 4 of this thing. Obsessed closing a little bit towards turn 1. Into the braking zone we go. Tries to outbrake the Aston Martin, gets to his inside, going for that first right hand is behind him. The other two Astons and Salvas go at it. Ethan and HB Cook, as the second gamer gets around PJ there, so up into the points, has the penalty to think about, but now finds himself back in position once again for the top 10 as JB now sits right in front of him there. So Che still chasing Imri here. Landed in P3. It's Imri all locked up a little bit there. Going into turn 10. That could be costly as Che tries to get closer on corner exit if he can. Can't quite do it as of yet. Top 6 trying to break away now. Brashman falling back a little bit here. 80 behind him in P8. And Kotz then glued to the back of that Williams there. The Williams of the reigning RDL champion. As they go through the right-hander here. Towards the last corner once again here. Che is closer this time than he has been on previous occasions, but a bit too deep there through turn 14. May lose some time as a result. Lando will be looking to try and pounce if he can. Get close enough to the back of that Haskell. Top 5, top 6 breakaway now as Brashman really falling away. No DRS from an AT could try and take advantage of that. Going towards this first corner, but closing in a number of cars in front. Going towards turn 1. Che the inside there, looking for the race lead at the first corner. Imri switches back. Che back in front for the minute here. And who will get DRS? Neither car will get DRS here. Going down towards turn number 4. So Landlord in control as Cock gets a penalty there while fighting Grumio. So Imri back in front now. And things getting spicy here in front. 80 did pass Brashman just about. So P7 now for the McLaren driver. Obsessed down P9, JB down to P10. Obsessed 2 seconds back then from Brashman. So Chase at his first dosage of trying to get around Imri. What will he have in a second? That is another question as these guys run down towards turn number 11. Into the last few corners then. Che again looking for that next chance. DRS about to come to play. We're going to lap 6 now this Grand Prix. Of course, plenty of time here, so no one needs to be going for anything too brash just yet. But there's definitely been a sort of hierarchy that's been built up here as Che trying the outside for a second, then going into turn 1. Couldn't quite get it done. Have to stay as is. But did he get a better try down towards turn 4? I shouldn't think so. Didn't get enough for run this time round. Pope on the tail of Cott, can't make a move just yet. Of course, those two soft-tired cars, Cott and Landlord, are the ones to keep an eye on here, but of course, pace hasn't been particularly strong in terms of compared to the medium tyre. Both of them are sort of staying stagnant in terms of position here. You've seen Cott really put Grimmy under pressure, but Landlord hasn't got quite as close to the two race leaders as of yet. As they run down towards turn 11 once again. And the chase continues. Further back in the order here, we'll have a look what else is going on down the field. Which is the 2 cars to made stop so far. Ben has just come in for his first change. He's onto a set of hard tyres now. I'm going to show you a bit longer into the Grand Prix here. As Cotney rejoins, he's P17 as it stands right now. Dan's still in P16, so struggling here pace-wise. And his teammate Che with a great run this time, going towards turn 1. Che takes the race lead back. And into the first corner we go. But this time Imri should have DRS to come back at him out of turn 3 and towards turn 4. So we'll try and keep on the Hascar's tail, going down towards that right-hander. And that should put him in a good spot. But not close to there as Pope takes P5 from Cott there. Those two falling away a little bit from now from Grumio, just outside of the DRS range. So Pope could potentially be put under pressure by Cot. Into the right-hander there. Pope in control at P5 now. AT still P7. Brashman in P8, but still keeping on pace. And Obsessed has put the hammer down here. He's closed the gap right up. So he's now on the tail of Brashman, looking for P7. Let's try and cap this thing off. Try and cap off his full-time RDL career on a high note as he goes into the left-hander there of turn 11 for the 7th time. So we'll see this time around if Obsessed can try and make a move going towards that first corner. As Chase at the fastest lap in control of this thing and pulling away by 8/10 now to Imri in second place. See the gap starting to build, but Imri closing it down a little bit going towards turn 1. So Brashman staying as is then, and Obsessed behind him also staying as is. JB under a lot of pressure. He's got 4 good cars set there behind him as Cot takes P5 back from Pope up front. Ethan and PJ racing for P11 here. And Albar challenging HB Cook to the inside going into turn 4. And the RB driver wins out on this occasion and gets in front of HB Cook. And move him up to P13 now. A few places off the points. JB, of course, hanging on to that last point with the rest of the field 7/10 behind him as it stands right now. Dan rejoins it. I think has to having lagging problems at this stage. On to lap 9 then. And Imri trying to close the gap back down now. He's a lot closer this time around than he was last time. As Ericsson gets a penalty there. 3 seconds for multiple warnings. Going down towards turn 1. Can't quite get to inside of Che here. So Che was a lot more successful in terms of actually making those runs a few laps ago. But this time he's a lot closer. Yellow flag behind. That's one of the Ferraris got a problem. Recovers it. No such concern. That will be, I think, Kurt's being caught by Ben here. Imri maintains his advantage. He's ever so slight advantage. But maintaining it nonetheless. And that's the main thing, of course. It'd be doesn't matter how close the car in second place is, as long as you get to the line in first, the points are going your way. So Che in complete control here. And now the top 4 have broken away. Cot and Pope have indeed jumped back from fighting and now find themselves about 4 seconds back from Grumio in 4th place, who's keeping himself glued to that end of that chain. 4 constructors here, the top 4 teams in the Constructors' Championship, not in order, but still there in that 4, and still racing each other, 1 car each, fighting for position. Of course, only the one Red Bull in this Grand Prix, that being Imri. Matthew not here this week. And down towards turn 1 again. Imri half second back as we get lap number 10. Going down towards that first corner, looking for position number 1 once more. Grumio trying to get a bit of clean air there, can't get anything, can't get enough for a run. And behind them here, it's all still single file. Pope making the pass there, side by side again, going through turn 4. Which car comes out on top this time? It's looking like Pope. Yes, it is. So Pope on his full-time return course had plenty of practice in the first rounds. This round goes Cot there, sliding off at the exit of turn number 7, recovers the car, but now at the mercy of AT and Brashman and Obsessed. And Cott already has that penalty to think about. 4 cars with penalties in this Grand Prix. Pope down to no pressure. And is free to try and chase after that 5-second gap from him to Grumio.
It doesn't look like you have an opening.
And the Siri goes off. The first time it's happened in a little while. But Chase still leads the way. Down the main straight here, going towards turn 1 again. Imri, again, about half a second back here, and really not having much luck in terms of getting up to the back of Imri's car. The back of Chase's car, sorry. You can see him getting close here, going through turn 1, but it's the exit from turns 2 and 3 that sort of kills the momentum here. And going down towards turn 4, he closes a little bit, keeps himself in a good window for DRS, but just can't go for the move, and he's struggling there in that sense. Pope's still 5 seconds back, not gaining right now. Carter's still 2.5 seconds back from Pope. Closing the gap a little bit. Going down towards turn 11 again. The top 4 pulling away here. In terms of the gap further back in the field, PJ now around JB for P10 here. Ethan in P12. Ethan P12 behind them. HB Cook P13. Alvar back at that train again. So HB Cook managed to get back around the RB driver. Of course, further back, of course, number of cars have struggled so far in this race. Dan down to P18 now, made his first stop of the race on set medium tyres here. Because, of course, only a number of cars have stopped in this race. I believe it's just those 3 who have made their change. Yes, it is. So, still waiting for everyone else to make their first stops as Dan goes breezing past Curtis there for P17. And we'll see if we get a safety car or anything like that to try and potentially get Dan closer to the front. We'll see if that has any effect and whether Dan can actually try and close that gap from P17 to P16. That'll be Cotley Goblin as next target. So Dan will try and come back through the order as best he can to try and maintain P2 in the championship. As it stands right now, luckily we're going Che's way. And Imri with a high enough finish, I think with the win, could manage to pass Dan. There is your position change from this Grand Prix. Obsessed has gained 6 places here, really on the move, and still on the tail of AT and Brashman. Dan obviously down 14, but as we know the reason for that, we'll leave that for the minute. And the lowest gain aside from that has been Bennett down 5 places and made that first pit stop. So no one's safe for Ethan, and Curtis have lost, or not safe for Ethan's actually lost a place through racetrack. It's mainly been stops. Of course, Dan had his lag at the start, but is now pulling away from those 2 and working on chasing that gap to Cotney. It's now 11.6 seconds. He's getting to work. He's booking it now. You see the run he's putting on for himself. And back up front, it's still Chang control. So his teammate doing a good job as of right now, keeping Imri and the other 2 cars at bay. Because Grumio, they're making a move for 3rd place, going down towards turn number 1. Clearing Grumio there. And into the first corner up to 3rd. So caught another penalty there. Multiple warnings going his way. Once again, that's now out of the penalty here. That is 6 seconds for him. And 3 seconds each for Brashman, Obsessed, PJ and Ericsson. Imri still chasing here. It's been a fruitless effort from so far. He's managed to keep himself close, but that's really the most he's been able to do so far. Pope still by himself there, now 7.3 back. So this DRS train is still pulling away here. They're all forecast on DRS, but Lando are perhaps in danger of falling off the back of that train. He's been the caboose more or less in this little pack for the last 4 or 5 laps. And whether we are nearing our first stops of this Grand Prix, whether we're looking for another few laps or so, I'll have to wait and see there. But down towards 1, it's Imrie closing the gap again, but just not close enough. Can't do anything right now. Obsessed is in the same spot there, stuck in P9, as is Brashman, but those two a bit close this time round, perhaps. I mean, 18 not using any battery, so he should be keeping himself nice and close. But again, Brashman is there, can't do it, stays in P8 for now. Obsessed on his tail. And you see the guys taking different lines here. Brashman could get a better exit this time round. DRS in play, AT falls to the right hand side, trying to get himself away from Brashman. Make sure the outside are going towards turn 4. Brashman trying the outside in the Alpine on corner exit, pulling in front, and for the first time in a fair few laps, this train gets an overtake. Brashman back in P7, and AT got his work to do now, but perhaps could have his back against the wall here, as Obsessed tries to challenge going towards turn number 8, can't do it, gets himself into position. Stays in P8, sorry. Obsessed P9 and PJ there, still in P10, holding that train back. PJ holding that train at bay. JB still P11, Ethan still P12. So this train has been largely stagnant since we last left it. Ericsson at P15. Dan is still closing the gap up, and he's close all the way here. Imrie takes the lead here once again into turn 1. But Che still on his tail there. On corner exit going towards turn 4. But I think this time Che may not take the lead back. Imrie is closer to Imrie, but can't do it. So Imrie then back in the lead, and these two swapping places for the 3rd time in this Grand Prix. Che really keeping on Imrie's tail here, going through the start of the 2nd sector, going down towards turn number 8. But Imrie back in control. Of course, looking for his first victory since season 16. It's been several seasons here since his last victory back on F1 23. So we're looking to try and break that duck today. Or at the very least, to get himself onto the podium as he did last week with that 3rd place finish. Che's close. And Grumio is sort of struggling to keep pace with these two. Falling away a little bit, but it doesn't feel, honestly, it doesn't feel right to see Grumio pacified, or pacified isn't quite the word, but being held at bay by these two who have been perhaps two of his closest challengers over the course of the last few seasons. Che in particular, one of Grumio's closest rivals, I'd say. They race each other fantastically well, and there's never really been much altercation between the pair of them. But this time, Che is focused on fighting Imrie. He may go for the lead back here. Yellow flag, that is Cot going slowly out of turn 13. As Che reclaims the lead going towards turn 1. What's happened to Cot? Cot slowing up here. And down to P7 now. 80 takes the place. Brashman, another penalty for him. As Imrie try and fight back from Che going towards turn 4. And turn 1 remains the spot for overtaking here as Cot gets back around AT. Really trying to help his temporary teammate going towards that first corner. Brashman goes wide. Obsessed trying the inside. They'll be outside for turn 2. Looking for a better drive off. Can't get it. AT though might get a run back on Cot here going down towards turn 4. The McLaren makes the move to the inside. Outbreaks Cot. Easy job. But there goes Cot back to the inside. Sending a switch back there. Sliding on corner exit. Almost executed it. Damn fast attack behind them. Imrie penalty. 3 seconds for him as AT reclaims the 6th spot. And Obsessed, contact there with him and Brashman. I think I saw contact. And PJ's train now, little by little, starting to join that party. But Imrie, 3 seconds for him there. And how costly could that be coming into the Grand Prix? Given how close he's been to Che so far in this race. onto the main straight again. Onto lap 17 now. Che still there. Still leading again. Imri closing the gap here. I thought he was trying to send for a second there. Not quite close enough as of yet. Will keep himself in line. But going for a better exit out of turns 2 and 3. This time he's right on Chase Taylor, sliding a little bit there. A bit of a twitch in the back end of the car. But DRS in play. But Imri's not got a lot of battery, but Che's got a lot of his left. He's harvested a lot here. As PJ makes the pass on Obsessed. Obsessed, I think down the order here. And into the pit lane. So I think pit stops now starting, perhaps here in Bahrain, as Alvar joining Obsessed in the pit lane. Sauber and RB making their first stops for their 2 cars. Sorry, Ben's made his first stop, apologies, so the second stop for RB tonight. Obsessed is away. Both cars, nice easy stop, medium tyres onto both machines here as Dan now takes P14 away. Of course, he's also made his first stop, so this is his true spot. But perhaps on a different strategy here compared to the rest of the field. Up front then, Che leading again, and this time opening his advantage up by about 7 tenths, 8 tenths now to Imri. He's trying to pull away. Grumio still there in P3. Of course, Grumio knows that the only way you can actually lose the championship lead is if Dan wins the race and Grumio fails to score. As it stands right now, he'll maintain the lead of the championship. Of course, his advantage will take a bit of a blow here. Che we put onto 70 points and Grumio put onto 90. In towards turn 4 here. Caught 10 seconds here. Making a stop. 10 seconds of speeding in the pits, and things have not gone to plan for him so far in this Grand Prix, and get a serious sense of deja vu at this point. Ben 3 seconds for multiple warnings. Penalties flying out here at this stage of the Grand Prix, or nearing that sort of midway point. Dan now we're on the tail of Ericsson going towards turn 1. He's into P13 at this point. Dan makes the pass there, nice and easy at P12 for him now. And it's 15.7 seconds to HB Cook in P11 because he yet to stop. So imagine Dan will get a number of places back here. But of course we're losing him when he needs to pick on a different strategy than to everyone else. So Che now pulling away and holding an advantage. 1.7 seconds to gap here. He's put that a remarkable lap as he rounds the last corner. But when will he pit and when will the leaders come in? All of them staying out for now. 1.8 seconds to the gap now. Grumio under pressure from Grumio towards turn 1. Easy pass there for the reigning champion with DRS to his play. And going down towards the first corner again. Lando pitting. Try and make the change. Medium tyres and Lando's away. He may emerge around his teammate here going down towards turn 1. AT pitting himself now. So McLaren going for both stops here on the same lap. On lap 19 here, caught another penalty. What is going on to him tonight? That's 19 seconds worth. 3 track limit penalties and the pit limit penalty as well. But carrying on here, P13 from right now. Of course, we'll get a lot of spots back when he rejoins. He's just behind Dan there. Coming out in front of AT by a few seconds. I think by a second or 2 here. Out of turn 1. Yeah, about 3.5 seconds in front, has to be said. From Cott to AT. Cottney Goblin passing Ericsson in the pit lane. Ericsson down to the last of running cars here. Perhaps not satisfied with the running so far. Of course, everyone's kept things nice and clean here. All 19 cars still in the race. And it's just these top 3 now, as Grumio has closed back up to Che. But does Che pit this time? All 3 cars staying out. Pope there in P4 now, 11.5 seconds off the 3 leaders. Landlord P5, Brashman P6. It's PJ, Ethan, JB and HB Cook go top 10. Dan P11, Cop P12. about a second off of Dan here. Obsessed P13, he's got a penalty of his own, 3 seconds. ATP 14, almost 4 seconds back from Obsessed now. So Cot and Obsessed building that advantage up. Out of our P15, it's Cockney Goblin, Curtis, Ben, and Ericsson. That's your full order. PJ passing Brashman here, of course. This will be close to the fight for points later on this Grand Prix. The Aston Martin's been hovering around the outside of the points throughout the entire race here. See PJ really trying to force Brashman into an error there. Can't do it. Keeps himself in line for now. As Cotton making a pass. Those are going side by side, sorry. Dan keeping in front of Cotton. I don't think Cotton's getting in front, but Cotton's closing that gap up. Dan, I think, struggling a bit more on those tyres now. A lock up into turn 8. And Cott right on his tail. Into turn 10 and out of turn 10. Look at him right on. Oh, there we go. And Dan's still lagging a little bit, I think, there. Which could be a concern to these two cars go side by side. Still no change for the leaders here. Grumio a lot closer though to Che than Imri was. And are we about to see that classic Che Grumio squabble for the lead? Of course, we've been looking for a fight like this over the course of the campaign so far. We saw a number of fights between Che and Grumio, especially such in the first 100% race last season, which is in Japan. Those two pulled away to a huge advantage and really set the pace for everyone else and kept on fighting until the flag. But a lot of it was just sort of keeping each other in DRS range, not really going for moves. Grumio kept in second a lot of the way in some of these races. So think back to Spain as a particular example, making this move with DRS and going on to the last lap. Che almost got him back. I believe. Well, there was a lead change going down towards turn 1, and the lead was then snagged back at the second DRS zone, which can happen. Whether we'll see anything like that tonight, let's wait and see. But we've still got a good 27 laps to go. Sorry, excuse me, a good 37 laps to go until we get to that point. It'll be 36 this time by. And in comes two of the leaders here. Che and Grumio pitting, but Imri stays out. Imri back in the race lead. Grumio 10 seconds there. And the second driver tonight's running in the top 10 and get hit with that pit penalty. And that might cost Grumio massively. He has to try and get the lid out when he leaves the pits. As Pope now takes away P2. Grumio away. And that is soft tyres going on for both cars here. Landlord and those medium tyres come out in front of both cars. Behind them here is still PJ and Brassman going at it for now. It's now P6. And PJ then back in front. Down the order, everyone else quite spread out here. We've got a 4-car train being led by Curtis. Ben, then Cotley, then Ericsson. That's the back of your field. Imri here, 12 seconds in front of Pope pretty much. He's 11.5 to be exact. There's another 7 back to Lionel's got Che on his tail here. So we're looking at that about 19, 20 seconds. 18.7 there. With that 19.0 to Che in 3rd place. And of course, any time that Che and Grumio lose being stuck behind Lionel is good for Imri, who could stop this time, I imagine. But of course, got to keep things careful, I should think, based on what we just saw with Grumio. So Imri me in this time. He already has 3 seconds. Wants to avoid another 10 seconds. Wants to avoid 10 seconds if he can. Yes, he does. Locking up all the way in. Pope off the last corner. Here comes Landlord, Grumio, and Che. Those guys should all get out in front of him. He yellow flag behind. It's up in the last sector. I believe that was Cot. As here comes Landlord, Grumio, and Che. Top 3 now, running for a net 1st place. As Grumio passing Che for the first time today into turn 1. Can check him back at him though. Doesn't appear so. Hard tyres for Emery here. Yellow flag being called for nothing in sector 2. Oh, caught in the gravel there. And things going from bad to worse for Cott here. Broken end plate too. And trying to get himself to the pit lane. Down to P15 here. Things really falling apart for the Alpine driver here. And there it is. Cott retired from the session. So a frustrating day so far for the Alpine team. Of course, him being the only full-time driver to score for that team today. Alpine's chances of points today are gone. And Pope there, running up the order, could potentially try and snag P5, the constructors for that team. So Pope still leading here, staying on those tyres. Grumio and Che and Lionel together on the soft to mediums, closing that gap at a rate of knots here. And chasing a chance to pass here. DRS in play, fastens up for both cars coming through there. Che charging past into a net P1, going towards that first corner. Imri still in P5, 4.5 seconds back, and not gaining here. Those hard tyres, how should I go to the end on those? PJ and Brashman got it once again towards turn 1. Brashman makes the pass. Ethan the pit lane here for the first time today on lap number 24. And there's the medium tyres going. He's going to have to stop again then. Dan in P8 now. 13 laps done on those medium tyres. And in terms of tyre history, I believe Dan did actually start on those medium tyre. No, he started on the soft. So Dan has made his compulsory stop in terms of change there in terms of compounds. He makes a mistake going through turns 6 and 7. He's got possessed on his tail now for P8. But Dan, of course, if he wants to, I think will want to run these tyres as far as he can, and then go for another set of mediums to the end. As Dan looks to try and reconnect now. Last few corners then. And Che may try and get in front here of Pope as Cott departs the session. Che fastest up again, 130.7. The race lap record in terms of the circuit still held by Pedro de la Rosa in real life. That lap time sitting at a 1 minute 31.4. Of course, the times in the F1 game are remarkably different on that front as Che makes the pass on Pope. And there goes Grumio too. I think Pope knowing that these guys are not his race. And I think Pope to make that one stop work. PJ now pitting. So causing an end to that fight with Brashman. We'll continue on that first set of medium tyres, as is Pope being challenged by Landau. Landau gets in front of corner exit. Pope down to P4. So Chase still leading here, but Imruna's tail. JB penalty for himself now. There's 8 cars from 19, all with penalties in this race. Of course, a 9th with Cott had penalties too. Down towards turn 1, but more or less past the halfway stage now this Grand Prix. Well, at the very least getting there. Romeo closing that gap. Can't quite get close enough. Chase still leading. For the back here, I'm getting quite split up at this stage. Of course, PJ rejoining down in P14 there, so behind HP Cook and behind JB too. Even the last car outside of the first car outside of the points. Alva the last car in the points. But I believe in terms of his pit stops though, of course, has made that stop. The only two cars yet to pit now being Brashman and Pope. So Che with Grumio right on his tail there. So they're gunning for the lead. Could potentially see a change. Grumio awfully close and looking for that top spot if he can try and get to him out of turn 15. Lapped car in front, that's Cockney Goblin on those hard tyres and made his next stop. DRS here, Grumio with a great run on Che going towards that first corner into turn 1. Grumio makes the clearance, back in the race lead once again. The fight continues on between these two fine drivers. Lionel falling away here, 2.6 seconds. The gap to him in 3rd place. Pope sitting in 4th place still. 6.3 behind, 6.4 behind. Still on that first set of tyres. Imrie, again, is still off pace here on those hards. I think trying to go longer on his second stint. Obsessed now into P6. Brashman P7 has been a fantastic, more minus that penalty, it's been a fantastic last race so far for Obsessed. Doing a remarkable job there in P6. Down to P7 again, will likely need to stop soon. ATP8 Alvar P9, Brashman leaving the pits here. He's in P10 right now, make that P11. That'll likely be P14 as he exits the pit lane now. As PJ, JB, HB Cook and Ethan all get in front of him. So things quite split up here, save for those two leaders who continue to brawl for that top spot. Grumio looking for 4 wins in 4. Shades of Nico Rosberg back in 2016, winning the first 4 races of the season. And that will put him a further number of points clearing the standings, of course, with Dan down the order and struggling here. Che is the Haas team's main hope, and he's done a fantastic job so far today. Down towards 10-1 again, lap 28 this Grand Prix. And behind them there you can see Landlord getting around Cockney Goblin, as there goes Che again, still can't do it. And Pope finally pitting here, calling end to that first stint. I think likely looking at a set of hard tyres now for the end of the Grand Prix. So a number of cars still employing the one stop here. Of course, we'll have to see Che and Grumio stop again, I should think. Know where they're on those soft tyres at the end of the Grand Prix. I have to wait and see what their game plans. I should think a set of mediums late on. But of course, whether a safety car should throw things up into the mix remains to be seen. Obsessed there to P5. Pope will rejoin with Dan in 6th now. And just in front of AT as well. So Pope in control of P7. AT just behind him there. No DRS from the McLaren driver. Alvar P9 now. Of course, remember RB still hunting their first point of the season. So as it stands right now, they're on course to do that. But of course, plenty of time there for things to change. There'll still be another 30 laps. There's another 30 laps to go. HB Cook challenging JB here. They go through turn 4. Those guys side by side on corner exit. JB edges in front. PJ behind those guys are going to try and find a way inside. This is one of the closest fights on the track right now, save for this train that's building. Pope has got Dan right in front of him and AT behind him. So stuck in a rather unpleasant sandwich there as they run down towards turn 11. A Cockney Goblin a few spaces in front. Sorry, no, apologies, that's Obsessed Gamer. Cockney Goblin is down the main straight going towards turn 1 as Che reclaims the lead from Grumio there for the finely timed move going into the first braking zone. Che back in front then, and these two continue to stop the lead. Just the one retiree of this Grand Prix, that driver being caught out of the race about 5 or 6 laps ago after the 19 seconds worth of penalties. Of course, there is a penalty count as it stands right now. Of course, Grumio fighting for the lead, but has that 10-second penalty, let's not forget. So Che looking good right now. Things will require Grumio to try and pull out an advantage of 10 seconds, which would be easier said than done, I think, by a long shot. Grumio has not had the pace, I think, of the two leaders in Che and Imrie. Of course, Imrie down to P4 here with that 3-second penalty to boot as well. But should he catch back up to the cars in front of him, we could be still looking at a second podium of the season here in round 4. Obsessed there, P5. There's 12 laps on those medium tyres. Pope with a 1 lap on his hards. Behind him, down with the pressure from AT, going down towards turn 9. Ethan there in P10, holding on to that last points paying place. As Grimmy gets the lead back from Che here, going down towards the first corner to lap 30 now, past halfway in this Grand Prix. I mean, exactly 27 laps left from across the line. And things about to get quite interesting here as they run towards turn 4 again. But you just think, how long will those soft tyres last before these two look at their second stops of this race? And will there be a split in terms of tyre strategy? Will anyone go for... I can imagine be a set medium tyres of both cars here. Both of them start on the medium, so we should see a stop onto those later on. Only question is when, and who bites that bullet first. Pope closing the gap a bit on Obsessed now. The run towards 4. Dan still P7, AT P8. Alvar P9 with another penalty there for him. That'll take his count. Oh, sorry, that's his first penalty of the evening. So just 3 seconds for him here. And still in the points narrowly over HB Cook. Ethan now in a net P9, thanks to his lack of penalties. Of course, looking for another 2 points for Aston Martin after his finish in the points already this season. And again, things have been kept nice and clean so far over the course of this race. There's been no risk of safety car. Of course, had the cot spin earlier on in the race. And Dan was concerned at the start, but Dan looks to have had that all sorted, I think, for the most part. Able to run consistently here. Still in P7. Grumio still hassling Che as they go through turn 4 here. And Landlord's sort of in no man's land by himself. Imri has managed to get around Courtney Goblin now and is working on chasing Landlord down. He's about 7-8 seconds back. Obsesto in P5, looking for 10 more points to cap of his earlier career. He's looking for his first point of the season, and will likely be his last point of the season too. So his last chance to try and get some on the board. As I said, it'd be a shame to see Obsessed go, but he's been fantastic in this league the last year or so. And we've definitely seen a large amount of improvement. I think my co-commentator Reggie will be returning to us hopefully next week. We'll be able to attest to that in terms of how much he's improved, of course, as Obsessed teammate last season. Of course, I have nothing but nice words to say about Obsessed. I think that's the case with the majority of the RDL paddock here. As Obsessed, as I say, someone who will definitely be sorely missed without doubt. But right now, he's got other problems. Problems manifesting themselves in the form of Touch Me Pope, who runs in P6 right behind him on those hard tyres. And I can only assume trying to go to the end. Grimio leads there into the first corner. So Grimio then trying to open the gap up a little bit if he can do. Landlord's still there in third as Pope now making the pass Obsessed for P5 in the running order. Let's make that a place change then. Pope now on 10 points once again. Mercedes looking for good points in this Grand Prix today if they can do. Courtney Goblin down the order still. Last of the running cars right now in P18. Of course the cars around him being put a lap down. Or rather the cars in front of him being put a lap down as we speak, I believe. So Kurtz's next car's got a lap behind. Chase still giving him trouble. Still keeping on him, but falling away a little bit now. They get down to 7/10 for a second. Imri closing the gap bit by bit to Landlord. 7.2 the gap now. Pope 20 seconds back from P4. There'll be 25 laps to go this time. Che again pulling out. It's a cat and mouse game here. Back and forth, back and forth. This time it's Che who comes out on top. Che back in front then. Grimio's lead has been relinquished once again. Landlord now 6 seconds back from those guys. Obsessed going getting back around Pope. Those two going side by side towards turn 1. Obsessed wins out. Further back here, Alvar holding on to that last points pay in place. Of course, has that penalty to think about. He has 3 seconds, but HB Cook is 5.8 behind. So as it stands, RB look at their first point of the season. Ben down in P16, they're still struggling here. And Alvar gunning for that first point of the season for RB. Got both JB and PJ right behind him. A lot of fantastic battles are going up and down the order as it stands right now. So Che in front here on lap 34. The lap's starting to wind down now as Grumio makes the pass again. Easy work for the 9-time champion. Haston still looking for that spark to really get their season going. 2nd and 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship. Not enough for them as of right now. I think one of them wants the lead. As it stands right now, Dan is closer in points to doing that, but Che will change that come the checker flag should he finish in front of Grumio. Even at the very least finish in front of Dan. Speaking of Dan, he's been on those meetings for 22 laps now. Not stopping yet. Disconnecting there. I think when it's got, and that could be a risk that potentially, if he doesn't get himself reconnected by the end of the lap, whether the AI pits him, puts onto a set of hard types, perhaps you never know. We'll have to see here what should get himself connected in time. If he doesn't, what the AI have up their sleeve. We've seen races lost on that before. We've seen Imri in Monaco in the past disconnecting from the race lead, and his AI then pitting him for tyres for Groovy to do the exact same thing a few laps later for Grumio to come through and win the race then. So Che trying to close in again. Lap 35 now, go down towards turn 1 again. Che, again, constant dizzying back and forth between these two cars, and neither one of them seems to really be able to get an edge. It's been a struggle for both of them here to really establish a lead. Pope pulling away now from Obsessed, speaking of establishing an advantage. He's now just over a second clear. Dan P7. And looking perhaps a pit stop should it reach that point. Staying out. Of course, AT will be nearing his second stop himself. He makes the pass go down towards turn 1 here, making that move on Dan into P7 now. Want to try and get away before Dan lags again. Oh! I think Dan might potentially regain control at a poor time there. Che back in front of Grumio there. So through turn 13, these two are still in complete control of this thing. Of course, Grumio has a 100% record to maintain in these 100% races, but Che looking like potentially stealing that day with just 22 laps left to go. Still plenty of time things to change. Could see a late safety car brought into the fray, and everything then switches up. But Grumio closing the gap again. Easy pickings for him. And it's going to be, and in terms of who crossed the line first, it's going to be a case of who's in front of the going on to the last lap, I should think. There's 3 DRS onto the circuit, and only turn 1 has been the main overtaking point for everyone here. So I should doubt we see a move going down through towards turns 4 or turn 11. It's possible on both fronts. Whether we'll see it is another matter. Oh, there goes Dan. Oh, no, Dan for a second there. Thought he was spinning out, but no, Dan pit lane him for a second, and what should likely be final stop of this thing onto a set of medium tyres again. So a fresh set goes on for Dan then. He's going to re-emerge onto the racetrack here in P14. Potentially P15. Ericsson gets out in front of him there, so no concern of that. What can Dan now do from here? I think at minimum he wants himself back into the points, which he should get himself back into. Shea again making his move. 20 laps left next time by for these two cars. And Curtis is still sat here watching this whole battle play out. He's going to hold on to the last point as it stands right now. He's got both PJ and JB on his tail. Both cars again with 3-second penalties. So HP Cook doing good right now. Alvar in front of him has a penalty of 3 seconds too, but as HP Cook is 7.4 back, I shouldn't think he'll be taking that spot. And I think Dan has been getting calls from the stewards to retire from the Grand Prix thanks to the lag. AT pity himself now. Whether we see him pull over, potentially in the pit lane. Have to wait and see here. Staying out. So not sure if he plans to retire the car. There we go, side by side of AT at turn 1. Gets in front. Just. AT going for the pass, can't do it there. Bit of contact going through turn number 4. And Dan's still going here. So do we see him pit? Retire the car. Down towards turn 4 though. Grimmy going for a rare move at the right hand of the race lead here. He'll take the lead back from Che. Good move there. Catch him just at the right point there on Grumio. Taking the lead from an astonished Che, I assume. And again, Curtis just sat here watching this whole thing unfold. No doubt enthralled by the entertainment. Neither of those two cars pulling away. We'll have to choose a winner somehow out of these two drivers. And yet again, Dan stays out. I think looking for that charge later on the medium tyre, but still having concerns. Whether he knows to retire, I'm not sure. Brashman on the tail of the train once again here. HB still P9. And Che, 10 seconds. Hello there. And all of a sudden, as both cars come in for their last stop, plot twist, it's equal paying now for both those two cars. Give me back in the lead. And Grimio serving his 10 seconds now. And another set of soft tyres for Grimio there. So there you have it then. Che taking a penalty. Grimio's just served his. And things could look very good for Grimio now. He'll emerge from the pits then in 4th place. What has he got? Grumio soft tyres and Landlord soft tyres as well. Mediums for Che. So he's got about 10 seconds now on Grumio. Let's try and maintain that advantage if we can here. And I imagine Imri emerges somewhere around P4, P5. More likely P5 when he does pit. Let's see if he stops this time. Staying out again. Onto that 40 then. Imri stays out again. The fight continues on then for that last point for the back. Brashman, that last point, because number of cars still have penalties here. Brashman likely will not score a point unless these cars around him retire, or if they also get penalties like he does. In terms of that 6-second window. Of course, the cars around him have all got 3. Save for HB Cooker's got nothing. Alvar there still with that 3-second penalty and fighting Ethan for P6 here. These two on fantastic point scoring finishes, the Aston Martin and the RB. Those two teams bottom of the constructors. Ethan sat in the 6th spot with a penalty there. 3 seconds for him. Ericsson 10 seconds, speeding the pit lane. That's a simple tyre change. Soft tyres going on. And Joe's looking now at the more aggressive second, third, and final stint of this Grand Prix. As they head down towards turn 1 again. Brashman penalty for himself now. 9 seconds. Che fastest lap now. And the work begins. It's about 8 seconds now between Che and Grumio. Grumio fastest lap for himself. 1:29.772. Imri has a 6-second advantage, 7-second advantage to Che in P2 now. And still needs to stop again. Can't go to the end of those hard tyres. We're in 4th place then, and right behind his teammate Landon has no penalties for himself. See, Imri's been on these tyres now for the last 18 laps. It'll be 19 laps this time by, and that'll be just under half the race he's done on this set. We'll have to see here if he does pit again, which I should imagine he'll likely have to do. What tyre does he go on to? What tyre can he run to the end? It'd be unlikely to see the soft go to the flag. I could definitely see the medium. I think the medium's be the tyre of choice. But does he dare try to go for a soft? Or does he try and not do anything and try and run things to the end? Laps 42 now. Imri in control. Chase 2nd. Landlord now 3rd. Grumio 4th. Pope in 5th. Rounds at your top 5. Brashman's got up this game of runners. Tail there going through turn 12. Look at these two got it for position number 9. HB Cook there in front. Slab a sandwich then for the reserve Brashman. Just making his pass and blasting through off of the Alpine. And Dan has now caught up this train. But still lagging him. Was told to retire. Pulling into staying out. Oh no, coming in. And I wonder if we may just send a message, perhaps. PJ Callum, 3-second penalty. So 8 drivers then of our 19 in this race have got no penalties. The judges being Grumio, Landlord, Pope, HB Cook, AT, Dan, Curtis, and Courtney Goldin. And of course, remember, Grumio had 10 seconds earlier but served it. So that's no whack for him. So Che 4.3, 4.2 behind Imri now, closing the gap a little bit by bit. Two Ferraris battling here for P15 on the road. Dan's still down P14, 16 seconds back. And men that are set of soft tyres going. He's his third stop of the race here. And was told to retire about 5 or 6 laps ago. Things staying as they are for now. Grimmer here still fighting loud, looking for 3rd place. Ethan pitting. Soft tyres going on to Aston Martin. Che really going for it now. He's getting about a second or so in that last lap. Down the main straight, no DRS yet. But let's look at that. In the mere corner or so, he's gained at least 3 tenths on Imri, who is now himself coming up towards the 2 Ferraris who are fighting for positions 15 and 16. Escrimio passes Landor there for 3rd place once again. Gets himself back onto the podium. So Grimir here, still like 6 seconds back as it stands, and on course for victory over Che. Things have turned awfully fast here. Grimir serving his 10-second penalty and Che getting one of his own. That might be his undoing in this Grand Prix. This train here behind him has kept themselves for the most part of this Grand Prix. HB Cook and Brashman and PJ. JB Lark first scratch out of the points. For the last onto like 45 of this thing, nearing the last 10 laps of this race. And Che on Imri's tail. Making one pass on one Ferrari, go good on 2. And check the inside, looking for the race lead back into turn 1, he's got it back. Imri trying to switch back, can't do it. So Che then back in the lead, go down towards turn 4. Then we get a second wind here, closing the gap. Pulling to the inside right, can't do it. So let's take a moment here, let's run on board with Imri as he chases Che for the top spot and tries to potentially keep Grimio at bay. 6 seconds behind, let's run on board. So not a ton of success there, as you saw with Imri. So falling back on those hard tyres. Grumio now 5.3, 5.2 behind. So the gap is getting smaller and smaller. Landlord on his tail in P4. Of course, these two on their soft tyres. And I doubt they're going to have as much sting towards the end of the Grand Prix as they have done so far in terms of closing that gap. Pope again by himself, P5 right now. A nice quiet race. Obsessed in P6. Double points for coming Sauber's way it stands right now. HP Cook at P7 and keeping that train at bay. And Obsessed here is 11 laps or so away from capping off his full-time audio career with a solid points finish, one of his better finishes too. Looking for a good 8 points. HP Cook there in P7 looking for 6 points. It'll be 14 for Sauber, putting him on to 25 points, which will actually help them jump Alpine in the constructors. So they should move into P6. Alpine should fall behind Mercedes too. Pope with 10 points there. Actually, sorry, that as it stands right now, that allows Sauber to jump both Mercedes and Alpine in the standings. Pope is scoring 10 points, which will bring things to 22 for that team, as JB gets his first, gets the second penalty of the race. And Alpine, of course, not scoring, as Brashman is only reserve, so can't score points for the constructors. So that will move Sauber on to 25 points and 3 points clear of sixth place. Dan disconnects, and it's continued on despite the call to retire from the stewards. So whether there'll be words after the race, I have to wait and see on that. Back up front, Grumio closing the gap down now, 3.3 seconds to Imri in second place, who I think is trying to hold on as long as he can on those hard tyres. I can't see him making a stop late in this race. It's short of a safety car. Che there in P1, still holding his advantage, but of course has that 10 seconds to think about. I think this victory is looking like Grumio's, but Landlord may have a word yet. And it's been quite a long time since these two went to battle on track for warring factions in the constructors. As I've mentioned a few times this season, these two were last on opposite teams back in season 12. Grumio driving for Alfa Romeo, what is now Kick Sauber, and Landlord driving for AlphaTauri, what is now obviously RB. It was Landlord who won out that championship with a round to spare in Australia. And there were pivotal points that season. Of course, Landlord had to leave the majority of it. Grumio started to close the gap in, but I think the moment where he really lost the championship was a run late on in Canada. In the last few rounds of the season, of course, was on course for the race victory on a late safety car restart, but took his third and final warning going through the last chicane at the Wall of Champions. And Grumio, as a result, finished off the podium that day. Landlord gained a few points that helped him secure the title in Australia next race after that. But a round as fair, as I say. Yellow flag, and that's a car off, and that is Ben. He's gone flying off there at turn 1, kept the car running somehow. He's in the gravel trap and well away from the circuit. That's the first I've ever seen anyone run off at turn 1. What on earth happened to Ben there? Yellow flag in that first sector. And Ben retired from the Grand Prix. So 2 retirees now in this Bahrain Grand Prix. And there is Ben's car being pulled over. Unfortunately then for RB, Alvar's chance of points late on falling apart over the course of the race. On to lap 49 now. We're within the final 10 laps of this Grand Prix. It's been a fantastic race. If perhaps a bit quiet down the field at times. But I think the most exciting thing will be down here as HB Cook has done a remarkable job today. Still leading that train. And not only still leading it, but leading it with 0 penalties to his name. Whether he's close, I'm not sure how in terms of warnings. But he's got Brashman, PJ, AT and Ethan all on his tail here. And all of them looking for points late on. But penalties making the job much harder here. AT on course, I think, for an 8th place finish as it stands. Brashman can't score as a reserve, as I said, so the points will drop down a spot. And they'll go to Ethan as it stands right now. But JB isn't far behind me. JB has 6 seconds, so I think likely be a concern for him unless Ethan gets 2 more penalties. Or someone else gets 9 seconds perhaps. The close being Brashman. I mean, saying that, Brashman may actually lose out on points, may lose out on the top 10 altogether. Might actually put JB in front. But of course, it only applies if Brashman finishes inside the top 10. I think JB may need another place as Brashman challenges HP Cooking to 1. It's been a fantastic drive from both Saubers here. Obsessed by himself here, no real threat. As 18 and PJ are side by side. PJ with 9 seconds now. And that might have been what JB was looking for. If he can keep himself up close enough to those 3, as Ericsson takes now 16 seconds for him. No penalties for his teammate Curtis as those two fight it out for P15 on the road. Grumio now around Imri. Landlord trying to take Imri too. And Imri's gamble, I think, has fallen short to go along on those hard tyres. He's been on them for 27 laps as we begin lap 50. That's more than half this race. And I should think we'll see him make one last stop, perhaps onto a set of soft tyres, take the free hit on soft tyres, and have Pope behind him, and then run from there. Pope equally gone a long time on his tyres. 22 laps now. Just under half the Grand Prix. Che is 6 seconds in front, but has that pit penalty to think about. And I think we'll be hoping that Grumio's soft tyres fall off, as do Landlord's, and can try and build himself a lead. Because those medium tyres are still somewhat okay in terms of pace here. He's 6.3 seconds in front. Can he gain another 3.5 or so? As Brashman falls down to P9 here. AT and HB Cook side by side into turn 1. AT with no penalties as well, trying to win out on this occasion. HB Cook over the curb. AT in front. And with DRS2 now putting HB under pressure. There was Brashman. Can go for a 2-for-1 deal into turn 4. And HB Cook falls away here. Ethan on the inside too. And I can't believe I'm saying this. The driver has been let this train for so long. Gets triple whammied there as HB Cook slips to P10. But of course has no penalties. That's the right where he is. But want a place back off of AT, I should think. So things getting slightly more dicey now for HB Cook this late on in the Grand Prix. There'll be 6 laps to go. Next time by for Che, who's still 6.3 in front. Grumio is there and just needs to maintain this pace. Imri is staying on those hard tyres. I think won't lose anything here short of a puncture. Has the penalty to think about, just 3 seconds we got earlier on in the race. Pace has been strong for him. He's managed to keep up with these guys on those worn tyres. We'll see what the gap's like at the end of the Grand Prix. But it's looking like, as it stands right now, unless Che gets the lead out and starts to make up some time, Grumio was taking a 7th straight 100% race victory. In simply unbelievable fashion here. It's been a brilliant Grand Prix all around for this top 4 who've been the final of the class in the field. Pope in P5 still doing a remarkable job there on his first race back as full-time. Will score 10 points for his ambitions in the standings. Obsessed in P6, within his final 7 laps now of his RDL full-time career, and on for what I believe is his best finish as of yet. I'll double check that, because whether he got a better finish in Vegas last season, which we didn't see unfortunately thanks to the weird issue happened late on. 6th place is his best finish, so he's on for to tie his best result here. Unless we get one retirement from one of the cars in front, which I think is unlikely. Imri locks up big time there into turn 1. And I think I want to just try and keep those tyres going as long as he can without getting a puncture. He's only 2 seconds back from these guys in front of him. Oh, look, Grumio there with a slide going through turn number 4. And Che so may see that gap up a little bit there. Perhaps not focusing, perhaps just focusing on driving his race. As it stands, on course to finish in 3rd place. So Grumio going for a 4th win in season 19 already. And perhaps Grumio's best start to a season, I think, in the entirety of RDL so far. I don't believe any driver has won the first 4 races in a row. At least not in my time. Whether it happened in Grimio's past, in the 11 seasons before I've been in this league, then not entirely sure there. But Grimio is 6.6 behind Che now. That's all he needs. Unless he gets a penalty of his own, which could potentially be game on for Che. Grimio needs to keep the car safe here. He needs to keep on cruising. But can't afford to back up too much on those worn soft tyres. But Che's tyres may start to fall off too. 5 more laps to go. And it's 6.7 seconds to gap now. 80 holding on to P7. HB Cook here down to P11. And falling away. He's been on his hard tyres as long as Imri's been on his as well. JB's in the same boat, as is PJ Khaled, as is Brashman, as is Pope. Those guys all plus 20 laps on their hard tyres. And HB Cook, I think, after all of the fight he put up in keeping these guys at bay, may well lose out all these spots. JB's also falling back here. Down on the soft tyre as well. Curtis gets a penalty for the first time today. Yes, he has. I think just 7 drivers in the entirety of this Grand Prix out of our 19 without penalties in this thing. So, apologies, make that 6. Because Grumio had a penalty, but he served it earlier on. And it's coming back to win as it stands. 6.8 now the gap. So Che is opening up a little bit here, but not enough. And Landlord wants to try and keep with his former teammate. Because should Grumio make a mistake, then Landlord will be there to try and pounce. Or if Grumio gets a penalty perhaps, again, Landlord is there to pounce. So Grumio very aware of the car in front of me, just to try and catch. Very aware of the car behind him, just trying to keep behind. And I'm hearing word now from the stewards that Dan is being called in the Discord chat to retire, or he will be disqualified. After being called forward to retire earlier on this Grand Prix, Dan, I assume has not seen the message and has continued on. He's there right behind PJ, actually close to points, truthfully. But it's still lagging here and there. Late stopper here. Curtis coming into the pit lane. Medium tyres going on. PJ passing a HB Cook here on the outside through turn 11. And the Aston Martin clears the Sauber there. Down on the tail of both cars. Trying to get a kind of fresh grip on those tyres. Yellow flag over turn 1. So Setting has had some kind of problem, I think, but he's got himself going again. Four laps to go here. Almost 3. And the gap is still staying the same. Blue flags for Courtney Goblin. We'll probably put a lap down once again here, but obviously we classify as a finish regardless. 3 laps to go. Chain control, 7 seconds to the gap now. A Landlord, of course, remember, I mean, let's say this. The race for the victory is still on. Landlord is close. Not doing enough as of right now. Again, his soft tyres are a lap older than Grumio's, but he's keeping pace. And Imri, even on 32 lap old hard tyres, only 4 seconds around these guys. Not falling back as much as he might have done. The question is now, because at this point, I mean, Che's pulling away. It's 7.6 the gap now. 7.8. Che's getting away. I think he's starting to open things up now. But should he not get all the way through, that onus then falls to Landlord to try and pass Grumio and try and take his first win of the season. Imri gets hit with the second penalty here. 6 seconds. No impact for him. Pope is 36 behind. 3 laps to go for Pope now. Obsessed still in P6. 3 laps to go in his RDL career. And we'll make sure to see him cross the line as Pope locks up into turn 1. Che, 7.7 in front now. He's getting a full second here, but needs more. He needs just under 2.5 seconds to cap this thing off. 7.9 in front now. If he can gain about almost a second a lap, then he should do it. It's looking like Che may actually pull this off. Dan passing PJ now into turn 1. But looking like Dan maybe disqualified in the final classification here. $7.9 the gap still. I think Landlord may need to start saving some ERS. Because Grumio, I know, will start saving his. Is fuel a concern for Landlord here? You see that yellow light up on his MFD? It's looking like it. $7.9 still the gap. Chain not doing enough now. 7/10 from Landlord to Grumio. If Grumio gets a penalty, then Landlord might win this race. Landlord is 8.7 behind. So as of right now, I think Che could still finish second. It's 8 seconds to Grumio now. The lap and a half to go. And Grumio actually pulling away here, but saving a lot more battery. I think Landlord trying to save fuel to get himself to the line. That yellow light's still on there. So it's down to Che. And then Grumio building up all his ERS to go for one more big charge on the last lap. But those tyres are quite worn. 17 laps on those soft tyres. It's going to be one of those far but close finishes here. As Che comes through to start the last lap. Yellow flag. And JB retiring. And JB's crashed on the main straight in the last lap. Unbelievable, their late race retirement. JB out of the Grand Prix late on. Falling afoul the last corner there. And only get 16 finishes then in this Grand Prix. Brashman penalty. And Grumio closing the gap now, 7.8 seconds. I think he's got this one in the bag now. And the red light flashing now for Landlord. I think he's got to back off from here. This could potentially be race over for him in terms of chasing that race win. But still in range now to take second place. I mean, McLaren's best finish of the season put him on 40 points. Which will keep him in 5th place in the championship, unfortunately, but close that gap in a lot more to Imri. Imri on course for 4th place here. Of course, led early on, had a chance to win this thing. Che into the last sector here, 8.1 in front. A good last sector, could see him try and put another 8/10 on Landlord. Try and get second place. But Grumio looks like he's narrowly going to hang on with a sector to go. So when Williams retires, and Grumio drove past his stricken teammate on the main straight. Here comes Che for the last corner now. It's been a grueling race in 30-degree heat for those in the UK. Che rounds the last corner, takes the flag first, 8.5 seconds. And that pit lane penalty will cost him as Grumio then runs to the line to take win number 4 of season number 19. Grumio wins the race then. Che second in the end. Landlord runs out of fuel. 3rd place for Landlord. Imri will finish in a strong 4th place. Not the podium, but still a fantastic result given the pace of everyone today. Let's do that top 4. Pope's on his way through here to claim P5. Fantastic race from back. 10 points going his way. PJ Khaled late penalty, yellow flag in 2nd sector. I wonder if Brashman's maybe out of fuel perhaps. I think he is. Yes, he is. Brashman out of fuel late on. And 10 seconds for corner cutting. That'll more or less do him. Last corner for Pope then to cap off P5. And here comes Obsessed Gamer to finish things off in his RDL full-time career. It's P6, a 2nd record best finish for Obsessed Gamer. P6 at the flag. And that'll do it for him. You saw Curtis cross the line there. P7 in the end for AT. No penalties for him. Fantastic drive for the whole McLaren team there. P3, P7. Landlord runs out of fuel at the end. No such drama for AT. Comes close. Holds on. Alvar P8 in the end. Gets RB's first points campaign. P9, sorry. But first points for RB this season. Ethan the last point. HP Cook in the end. P11 in the end. PJ 12 and Brashman out of fuel then late on. And we'll finish the race in P13. Coming ever so slowly, 100 miles an hour to the line. And that will do it then. Grumio wins it. 4 wins from 4 then, and looking mighty unstoppable is Salve Grumio. So win number 4, Che in second place once again. That'll move him in front of Dan, back into P2 in the championship. Landlord will stay in P5 as it stands. But a good day all round for these three. Imri in P4 there did a remarkable job too on those hard tyres. Made the one-stop work just about. Wasn't quite the win, wasn't quite the podium, but P4 for him, but podium for these three. And Grumio, another win. Try and stop him. It's going to take a gargantuan effort to do so. So victory then for Grumio here today. And a remarkable race all round. And the majority of cars finished the race then. So run through the last results if I can get it up on my screen here. If I can get to actually look through it myself, because sometimes the game doesn't always allow me to do that. But regardless, I think we won't get the results up, unfortunately, because the game will not allow me because I'm a spectator, which is annoying, but we'll move past that for now. And we'll move on now to post-race interviews, and we'll see if we can get anyone to join us for a brief chat. I want to get one last talk with Obsessed, I think, if we can. That's what I really want to do that. And we'll see who else comes in to meet us later on after. It was an enjoyable race. It was a long race, long and grueling Grand Prix, but majority got through it. Apologies if you've heard a whirring in the background the last 15-20 laps. That was my fan, because it is boiling hot in here. As it stands right now, outside in where it's currently 27 degrees. It's gone down, but it was at 30 earlier. So it's been a tough one, I think, for everyone over the course of this Grand Prix. I'm seeing someone's. Okay, I thought I saw him with a chocolate egg there, melted, but it's chocolate mousse. So we'll leave him to that for now. And yeah, I mean, stunning Grand Prix driven from almost everyone today. But I didn't do the words for Dan. And we'll see if we can get a word with anyone. We'll see if we can get a talk. After, scintillating Grand Prix. And we'll give it a minute or two, and then obviously if no one comes along, then we'll call it. Of course, feel free to let me know your thoughts down in the chat below. Long Grand Prix, of course, appreciate those of you who stayed until the end. I'm not sure the stream was sort of lagging a little bit over the course of the night, but I think we got it sorted towards sort of the last third or so of the Grand Prix, and hopefully there shouldn't be any complications from here on out. I hope it wasn't too bad for you guys. Apologies if it was, but we'll have I'll have to look into that myself, and we'll rectify that hopefully for next week in Saudi Arabia. But a long Grand Prix, a long, arduous effort. Well done to everyone finished this thing. And here he is then, the man of the hour, Obsessed Gamer. Welcome into the commentary box. What could be the last time, unfortunately. But you know what? P6 on your on what is predicted to be your final start. Are you pleased with that?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Finished 6th. I started 15th. Qualifying was not very fun, but you know, we put in some work in the race and came home with 6th.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic Grand Prix all throughout, but of course, a lot of it you spent a fair bit by yourself, but of course, the initial part of the race you're moving up was quite sensational. Talk us through this, the adrenaline of actually making those passes and making your way up through the orders, P6.
Well, I think at the start, the lights were basically instant, so yeah. I just had my foot on the gas and was just ready in case, and I gained 1 or 2 positions from that, and then I just tried my very best not to kill anybody on that first turn. I've probably spent like an hour just practicing that first turn, making sure I wouldn't kill anybody. So I'm glad that I didn't today. All that practice paid off. And then, yeah, kind of stuck with a group for a few laps. I know I overtook JB on, which turn was it? It was the one, it's like the really awkward one at the end of the second straight, the DRS straight.
Yeah.
And Yeah, that one I wouldn't have made that move, but I needed to get past. I was gonna try to gain any more ground. Yeah, turn 11. So
That's the
yeah,
yeah.
and
That's
then
it.
uh, and then mostly I think the strategy really helped. I thought about doing a one stop, but I don't think that worked out very well for those who did it. I know Emery did it, and I think he came home fourth, which, not bad. But I think that the two stop was definitely the way to go. Having those fresh mediums and then being able to pass everybody who's on the older mediums or old hards, it just really helps.
I think it's good that the two stop was finally the way to go in one of these Grand Prix. Of course, the track limits was I think a recurring problem for a lot of drivers in the Grand Prix. Didn't you just got the one penalty? Is that correct, or did you get two? Sorry.
I just got the one. I was close to the second, but I thankfully stayed in the track for the remainder of the race. So only walked away with a 3-second.
Yeah, I mean, for a full-length Grand Prix, that's not bad at all, especially given a circuit like Bahrain. But of course, I think definitely a fantastic send-off. Of course, double points for you guys at Sauber as well. Is there any words you sort of want to? You sort of want to got me. You've got the floor here. Whatever you want to say before we cap things off, then by all means.
I just want to thank everybody for letting me race in the league. When I started, I had a week and a half, 2 weeks experience driving with a wheel on an F1 game. So even just being able to put up with me and just learning and asking all sorts of questions in the Discord and on the track, it was awesome. I love this community. It's a great community to be a part of, and yeah, great people.
I mean, I'll ask you just to make sure. Are you absolutely sure you want this to be your last race? Given how good that last one was.
I don't know that it'll be my last race. But I'm going on. I wouldn't be able to race the next 6 races, and then I'm moving to college, so I won't be able to race when I do that. But I think there will be a race or two here and there where I might be able to hop in.
Sounds good. We'll still see you around in the Discord, yeah?
Yep.
Excellent. Well,
yeah, for sure.
So we haven't lost you completely. That's the main thing. Well, do you know what? Absolutely fair play to you, mate, because you've been here for pretty much 2 seasons, more or less. And of course, I remember how it was. Well, of course, pace-wise, when you first got here, of course, the Q3 appearance in Vegas during that first season was remarkable. Of course, the Vegas race last season as well was nothing short of fantastic as well. And you've come through, you developed into a fantastic driver, and I'm looking forward to seeing when you come back and to get another race for us again.
Thank you, Zach.
No worries at all. And I think that will likely cap us off then. You're the only one who's been nice enough to join me. And that's the other thing, you join me almost every week for these. So I can't thank you enough for that in terms of these post interviews. We have fun later on in the voice chat come the end of the Grand Prix. But that one, well, let's do it then in terms of our coverage of the season 19 Bahrain Grand Prix, round 4 of the Races Driving League season. Of course, next week's race will be on the 7th of July. That'll be taking place at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the Jeddah Street Circuit, the Jeddah Corniche. So make sure to join us for that. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more future audio content. Have a fantastic evening, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.